All of this and more on World Business Watch.
Watch me on Token Money Magnet, where I decode tokenization for you only on WION.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis, coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon, for a new episode of WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from West Asia. Iran is reaching nuclear capacities that are putting the West on its nerves. Now, the US wants direct talks with Iran. Iran has put its conditions for reaching a nuclear deal with America. Before we dive into this, let's take a quick look at what's making the headlines across West Asia. Iran's pursuit for nuclear technology started in the 1970s, and it has been a long journey. It has been crippled by sanctions, wars, global scrutiny, and covert operations. But still, from underground facilities to the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran has come a long way. We tell you more about the journey of uranium enrichment in Iran in this report.
The Gaza war that began 2 years ago turned into a direct Israel-Iran confrontation in 2024. That was when Iran fired one of its largest missile barrages at Israel. World attention immediately shifted to Iran's arsenal, especially its nuclear capabilities. While Israel targeted Iran's prized Natanz nuclear facility, the UN atomic chief also visited the facility, cautioning the world that Tehran is just a few steps away from making nuclear bombs.
The agency is working in Iran inspecting, but I have always said that we need more transparency. We need to see more. Given the size, depth, and ambition of Iran's program, we need to find ways of giving the agency more visibility.
Iran maintains its facilities are for research purposes, but recently, Khamenei's advisor said if the West continues to pressure Iran, then it will have no option but to resort to nuclear weapons.
But if you do something wrong in the Iranian nuclear issue, you will force Iran to move towards that because it has to defend itself.
Iran's pursuit of nuclear technology began in the early 1970s. Fueled by oil wealth and the Shah of Iran's vision for industrial and technological advancement. Under the Trump administration, the United States withdrew from the JCPOA on May 8, 2018. The decision sparked widespread international criticism. However, leaders of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom reaffirmed their commitment to the JCPOA. From 2018 to 2020, Iran resumed uranium enrichment, restarted research on advanced centrifuges, and expanded its stockpile of nuclear material, cutting its breakout time in half. Joe Biden's election promised a potential reset, with the Biden administration expressing willingness to re-engage with Iran on nuclear diplomacy. But Ibrahim Raisi's election to the presidential office complicated negotiations. The Raisi administration had a skeptical approach towards the West, and as Iran's ties with anti-Western allies like Russia grew stronger, the consensus among JCPOA's original signatories eroded. However, the current administration, under a moderate president, Masoud Pezeshkian, says a deal can be reached if America lifts sanctions on Iran.
If the other side shows enough of the necessary goodwill, a deal can be reached. In the end, the ball is in the America's court.
More than a direct military confrontation, US President Donald Trump wants a nuclear deal with Iran. Key regional players like Saudi Arabia have also shifted strategies, favoring engagement over confrontation with Tehran. But the path to address Iran's nuclear program is fraught with uncertainty. It remains to be seen if Donald Trump can manage to reach a nuclear deal with Iran in his second stint as US President.
While the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his second visit to the White House this year, Israel continued to bomb Gaza. There seems to be no end to this war, although America says it wants an end to the war in Gaza. Continued displacements and bloodshed till when? The following report answers this question.
Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the White House for the second time since Donald Trump took the Oval Office. Trump reiterated his proposal for a Gaza takeover, a move condemned by global leaders as ethnic cleansing.
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in, but having a peace force like the United States there, controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing.
While Israel's Prime Minister stays non-committal to a ceasefire in Gaza, the U.S. president wants the war to end sooner than later.
I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point that won't be in the too distant future. Right now we have a problem with hostages. We're trying to get the hostages out. We got quite a few of them out, but it's a long process. It shouldn't be that long.
We are now dividing the strip and increasing the pressure step by step so that they will give us our hostages. And as long as they do not give them to us, the pressure will increase until they do. We are determined to achieve the objectives of the war, and we are acting relentlessly and with a clear line and a clear mission. And with God's help and that of our heroic soldiers, we will also achieve them.
It has been 6 weeks since Israel completely cut off all supplies to the 2.3 million residents of the Gaza Strip. Food stockpiled during the ceasefire at the start of the year has all but run out.
We forgot about chicken, we forgot about fish, we forgot about chicken wings and meat. We forgot them, there is no food. Where do we get food from? The crossing is closed. Where do we get food and drinks from? That's it. We are being humiliated. He wants to kill us slowly, and we will die slowly. This is what he wants, to kill us and close on us. We've forgotten about all food.
Israel is now slicing Gaza to control large swathes of its territory. Recently, Israel's Prime Minister announced the creation of Morag, or what he calls a security corridor. After raising land to expand its buffer zone, reports suggest Israel controls 50% of the Palestinian enclave.
If the crossings don't open, people will die from the lack of food.
Human rights group and experts say the land Israel holds includes a corridor that divides the territories north from south. They add that it could be used for wielding long-term control.
So our statement today does take our concerns to a new level, that the cumulative effect of what is happening in Gaza today, the death, the destruction, the displacement, the denial of access to basic necessities, within Gaza and the repeated suggestion that Gazans should leave the territory entirely raise real concerns as to the future viability of Palestinians as a group in Gaza.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians used to live in the land that now makes up Israel's buffer zone, an area that was key to Gaza's agricultural output. Satellite images show once dense neighborhoods turned into rubble, as well as nearly a dozen new Israeli army outposts since the ceasefire ended. Amid the mass displacement and relentless carpet bombings, the lives of Palestinians and their future continues to hang in balance.
Do you know how many $1 billion the Americans have spent to end the Yemeni Houthis till date? The Yemeni Houthis continue to strike and Washington continues to strike them. We tell you more about this exchange in this report.
The near daily pounding of the Houthis by American forces has been on since the 15th of March. The White House says it has struck over 200 militant targets in Yemen, striking at weapons and underground storage facilities of the rebel group.
Last time I was at this podium, there were more than 100 successful strikes. There have now been over 200 successful strikes against the Houthis. Iran is incredibly weakened as a result of these attacks. And we have seen they've taken out Houthi leaders. They've taken out critical members who were launching strikes on naval ships and on commercial vessels. And this operation will not stop until the freedom of navigation in this region is restored.
Despite the strikes, the Houthis that control large swaths of Yemen and have been at war with the Saudi-led coalition backing the internationally recognized government since 2015 have continued to claim attacks against both US vessels and Israel. The US Central Command posts regular updates of its strikes on the rebel group. Videos show attacks carried out by Navy FA-18 Super Hornets and AGM-154, a GPS-guided glide bomb, and air-launched cruise missiles. The glide bombs, each carrying 90 kilograms of explosives, can be launched more than 70 nautical miles from their targets. The cruise missiles deployed by Navy warplanes can fly more than twice as far. The use of such long-range weapons is in direct response to the threat posed by the Houthis' air defense weapons. The Yemeni group recently released pictures appearing to show the wreckage of a US MQ-9 Reaper drone their armed forces shot down in Al-Jawf.
The armed forces continue to confront the ongoing American aggression against our country. In response to its crimes against citizens in several governorates, the Air Force carried out an operation targeting a number of enemy warships led by the U.S. aircraft carrier Truman north of the Red Sea, using a number of drones.
Reports say the Pentagon has used $200 million worth of munitions in Operation Rough Rider against the Houthis. Reports suggest well over $1 billion will have been spent by next week, and the Pentagon might soon need to request additional funds from Congress. The Atlantic Council says Houthis' weaponry, including mobile missile launchers, is hard to find and destroy. A United Nations report in 2024 found that the Houthis had become a powerful military organization. The report said the Houthis had carried out a vast recruitment project, resulting in a force that numbered 350,000 in mid-2024, up from 220,000 in 2022. Experts say after years of fighting in rugged terrain and weathering thousands of airstrikes, Yemen's Houthi rebels are not to be taken lightly. With the US vowing to increase pressure on the Houthis and the Yemeni group refusing to relent, it seems unlikely that the war will end anytime soon.
Turkey's main opposition, otherwise known as CHP, has invited Erdogan to a challenge, to a November vote. They say the struggle now is between autocracy and democracy. In the following report, we tell you about the main leader who has been leading the protests of the opposition in Turkey. Listen in.
Sayıda belediye başkanım var.
A few weeks since the arrest of Turkey's opposition heavyweight Ekrem İmamoğlu, Özgür Özel has become the face of the biggest protest to sweep the country in more than a decade. Denouncing the arrest as politically motivated coup d'etat, Özel, who was re-elected Republican People's Party or CHP leader on Sunday, has managed to call hundreds of thousands of protesters onto the streets.
We are awaiting better days for Turkey. Turkey does not deserve this. Turkey should not exist with these arrests, these trustees. That is what we think. In other words, we think of fighting until we get it.
CHP says it aims to hold one of the biggest petition campaigns in Turkey's history, forcing Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to contest in snap polls.
Bring the ballot box, let's compete. If you have the courage, we want our candidate beside us and the ballot box in front of us.
Özel says the fight is between democracy and autocracy.
The struggle here is no longer a political party struggle. Democracy and autocracy will compete and be voted for. If we win, Turkey will suddenly transform into a democracy where the rule of law exists, freedom of the press exists, freedom of expression exists, the separation of powers exists, and a strong parliament exists.
Courts in Istanbul released on bail 127 defendants, most of them university students who were arrested after taking part in demonstrations sparked by the jailing of the city's opposition mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu. According to Turkish media reports, the authorities are seeking to remove the CHP party's leaders a year after the opposition's sweeping victory in municipal elections. In addition to maintaining its lead in large cities such as Istanbul and Ankara, the CHP also made inroads into regions previously considered Erdogan's strongholds. The party came out on top in the March 2024 municipal elections with nearly 38% of the vote across the country. With unrelenting nationwide protests and fierce opposition from his opponents, will Recep Tayyip Erdogan be able to retain his power in the 2028 polls?
Lebanon's Hezbollah is one of the most formidable enemies for Israel. It is one of the only groups that remained armed after the victory, what they call victory, in 2006. But now, after the recent war between Lebanon and Israel, Hezbollah agreed to disarm itself, especially in the southern Litani River areas. But it has conditions. Israel has to withdraw from the 5 occupied points on the Lebanese borders. Now, this is what the 1701, the deal, actually says. We tell you more about what's happening in Lebanon in this report.
Taking oath as the Lebanese president, Joseph Aoun promised to establish a state monopoly over arms in the country. The talks on disarmament gained momentum after an Israeli operation killed Hezbollah's political leader, Hassan Nasrallah. The ouster of Hezbollah's Syrian ally, Bashar al-Assad, focused further attention on the Lebanese group. On Thursday, Hezbollah lawmaker Hassan Fadlallah said the Lebanese group is ready to enter talks with the Lebanese government on a national defense strategy. The talks are hinged on the deployment of Israeli troops on 5 key locations on Lebanese hilltops. Hezbollah is clear that disarmament will take place only after Israeli troops withdraw.
Our position is clear and explicit, and we express it openly. Lebanon's problem lies in the Israeli occupation and the assault on our sovereignty. This requires the concerted efforts of loyalists to address it. We have expressed our full readiness for dialogue in order to agree on a national defense strategy to protect the sovereignty. We meet all keen and sincere calls in this regard with an outstretched hand and an open mind.
Despite a ceasefire since November, Israeli airstrikes have kept pressure on the group, while Washington has demanded disarmament by the Hezbollah. Hezbollah has long rejected calls from its critics in Lebanon to disarm, describing its weapons as vital to defending the country from Israel. Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon killed 3 people, according to the health ministry, with the Israeli military saying it had eliminated a Hezbollah commander. Hezbollah chief Nawaf Salam has vowed it won't watch Israel violate truce over and over again.
The Lebanese state must act. It is still possible to resolve the situation through political and diplomatic means, but we cannot accept a new equation in which Israel attacks Lebanon and runs loose whenever it wants, while we sit and watch. There is a limit to everything.
Will Hezbollah's talks with the government result in disarmament? Or will the Hezbollah, that calls itself a resistance group against Israeli occupation, respond to near-daily IDF strikes with matched intensity?
Turkey wants to reach the moon. Ankara has designed over 60 lunar missions in the following and in the coming decade. We tell you more.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff of the Falcon.
Turkey's space ambitions are reaching a new high. Ankara is planning to conduct over 60 scientific missions on the moon as part of its goal to secure a larger role in global lunar research. Under its national space program, Turkey is preparing for its first lunar mission by 2028. The program's objectives include determining the origin of water on the moon's surface, studying the structure of magnetospheres, analyzing temperature distribution on the lunar surface, and assessing radiation levels both on the moon and in Earth's orbit. While the moon has always been an object of wonder and scientific interest to humanity, lunar exploration began in earnest in the 1950s, with the United States and the then Soviet Union developing and launching robotic spacecraft. Researchers say the Earth-Moon economy, driven by major players in lunar exploration, is expected to reach a cumulative value of $150 billion by 2040. NASA-led initiatives including Gateway, the International Laser Ranging Service, and Artemis are working to establish a permanent human presence on the moon. These programs aim to turn the moon into a refueling station, using space resources to support deep space exploration. As of last year, 4 nations have successfully landed on the moon: the then Soviet Union, the United States, India and China. And Turkey now is making strides to join this lunar race.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Ghadi Francis signing off from Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
Imagine a world where owning your dream asset is just a click away, where wealth is no longer exclusive to the few. Tokenization, the game changer, transforming assets into digital opportunities. A revolutionary technology opening doors to a new era of investment. Don't miss Token Money Magnet, a bold initiative by Kalp Foundation. Only on WION World is One. To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
This week on Tech It Out, we take a look at what exactly a mouse brain looks like. We also show you a new AI model that can help predict wildfire intensity. And we give you a sneak peek into the latest innovation in driverless car technology. This and more on WION World is One at these times. Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
The African Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA thrown into disarray following President Trump's tariffs on African countries, including Lesotho. The tariffs could be a death knell for US-Africa trade pact. South Africa, Zimbabwe and the AU react. A wedding becomes emblematic of Eastern Congo's ongoing turmoil as M23 control over the region leaves couples in legal limbo. And teams from all over the world take to the pitch at the annual Granny's World Cup in South Africa's far north, with 30-minute games played at a slow but purposeful pace. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
YO1 Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to YO1 Health Resort. Make your reservation at yo1.com.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.